I think it's better to just show up and be like, hey, today I'm really tired. I want just to have a snow day. There's blizzards coming in, and frankly, I just want to crawl back into bed. But I promised myself, and that's a promise I have to keep. So I thought it would be cool to not film with my glasses, but in reality, I need to read my reflections for week 2 from this book, so I won't be able to be all cool without my glasses. All right, week 2. Week 2 was a big week for me. I think there was a lot that I learned and reflected on. It's interesting how much synchronicity I saw in my journey leading up to joining this program and finding this book and what the book prescribes. I think I've really been focused on these fundamental aspects that she outlines, and now it's really validating to see that in the text. But let me just go through what I have. Not all of this is my morning pages so far. Some of this was like notes from school days. Anyways, okay, let's just talk about it. I think I have to talk about the fact that I believe so many artists use romantic relationships and romantic fixation to procrastinate their art. This is a concept that has been coming up again and again in my life, in losing focus on my career in exchange for focusing on relationships. Yet it's all the more important now that I get it out of my system, and it's been coming out in the pages. I've been writing about so many relationships, and I feel really uncomfortable talking about this, but I think as artists we need to be honest with ourselves, and this video is about being honest, so whatever. I think in order to take myself seriously, I have to stop taking other people so seriously. Not to be disrespectful to anyone, I think we should respect and care for each other. I think we should be able to learn from each other, but I took things way too seriously, way too personally, and now I take them personally in a very different way, in that I can learn, I can look back and evaluate myself and let go of the past. So, So, week 2 is about recovering a sense of identity. And this ties so much into my focus on relationships in the past. This ties so much into my fixation on careers that had nothing to do with art. And in integrating this identity as an artist into my life means that I have to make more room for it. I have to decenter other aspects that I put on such a pedestal, like relationships. It's been incredibly healing to realize that and to continue to focus on creating my identity in myself, not in my connection to the outside world. I think that's a really stable foundation to be able to find peace and harmony with what I am doing each day, and not what the outside world thinks of me or treats me. I know that this is going to be an ongoing battle, but it's a battle that I enjoy. So that was a good revelation in the past couple of weeks. I began to question why I was writing so much about relationship turmoils of the past, or just reflections on things that I had been thinking about. And then I realized this is exactly the same blockage that came up in the past for me, that I'm now working through. I think my thoughts this week are going to be much more disjointed, so bear with me. I mean, it is what it is. Week 2 asked us to write down tasks and things that we just wanted to do, and then pick one and do it. What I chose out of the 10 that I wrote down was that I wanted to deep dive on history and take notes about it. And since I just finished Animal Farm, I started taking notes on Russian history, educating myself around political history. As a side note, I've been considering how climate activism for many seems to exist in a bubble. In order for me to engage in climate activism, I need to engage in political activism. And in order to do that, I have to educate myself. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. I think I really want to make a video on particularly how I'm developing thoughts and figuring out how to speak up around climate activism. Art is one portion, but it can't be the only one, and I need to learn from those who are doing it better than me. I need to learn what came before me, and that includes people who've made a difference historically, political movements, literature and fiction that has described both utopias and dystopias. I mean, it feels like a never-ending well to dive into, like a really deep pool. And I'm not even in the shallow end, I'm in a kiddie pool that is not even ankle deep, and I have some like water splashing on me from a spray hose. I mean, I understand that I am at a surface level position. Despite being educated in conservation, I don't have the tools yet to engage. And that is no one's fault but my own. And so this is a bit of a tangent, but I really need to start figuring that out. To finish off that rant is to conclude with saying that I did not engage in academia in a political way when I was in school. And in order for me to return to academic institutions, I need to first educate myself on how to engage outside of the institution with political forces that stifle the ability for academia to create action and change. I saw somewhere a saying that says, when we first raise our voice, it feels vague and insignificant, perhaps. Like we're saying nothing at all. When I talk about these things, I feel empowered in that I'm voicing it, but it's difficult because I know I don't have the words yet. Yesterday, I was feeling really good. It was the precipice of a full moon, but I reviewed my goals, I looked at what I had to do, and I got a lot done. And I felt hopeful, and I still do feel hopeful, but sometimes I feel hopeful and tired. Sometimes I feel hopeful and unwilling at the same time, but I persist. Week 2 also asked us to engage in a pie chart and outline different aspects of our life and rate them 1 through 5 in this pie chart, what I came to identify was that as my art exponentially increased in my life, I felt worse about my career prospects. I don't know if that's necessarily true. It just right now does seem like there's an inverse between art expression and career prospects. I think that's a limiting belief. I think that it's something that I will find harmony in due time, and right now it's a matter of life circumstances that is bringing me to a point where I am almost solely focused on my art, and there's other aspects of my career that is just a waiting game right now. So I have to remind myself that these are not correlated. In fact, my dream and my vision for myself is to have these two aspects of my life in harmony. I don't know why I'm filming today. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know why I'm saying it. I don't know why I would post this. I wrote a lot. I did all of my morning pages every single day. I really enjoy lounging about and taking my time in the morning, and I know that's such a privilege to be able to do that. I take my time to do my morning pages and reflect and read the Artist's Way book. And my mornings are quite slow, but my evenings are filled with work and exercise, so it balances out in the end. We were also asked to identify 20 hobbies or just things that we enjoy doing, and then identify how long it had been since we last did that hobby and pick one to do. So I picked deep diving topics and trail walking just because they were already incorporated in my life. But I think the point of this was to do something that wasn't currently incorporated in your life, so maybe I missed the point there. But I do find myself consistently pushing myself out of my comfort zone at least a little bit in every week, and I plan on continuing to do that. In fact, it's good that I'm reviewing this now, a week after I wrote it, because I can reflect on it again and remember why I wrote it down. Other tasks included writing what is most important to us, and then outside of a circle of those topics that are important to us, those aspects of our life that are significant to our well-being and our purpose, to write people that don't necessarily support that. In the book, she talks a lot about crazy making and people who invite chaos into our lives. All I'll say is that I take responsibility for my actions, how I choose to feel, and who I choose to be around. I struggle with sharing with people that I don't think care. I think I share more of my wins and progress and dreams with people that I want to care rather than actually care. So maybe it'll benefit me in the future. Right now I'm still struggling. We were also told to write down 5 lives. One of my favorite movies of all time is Everything Everywhere All at Once, so I mean, I've been thinking about this for years, and Sylvia Plath's Plum Tree poem has been at the forefront. I mean, living rent-free in my head right here for years now, especially last year when I graduated and I had no idea what I was going to do. I wrote down my 5 lives. I was surprised that some paths that had come up for me weren't on that list. Maybe it's just what I was thinking in the moment and not necessarily a reflection of a grander picture of what I actually thought my 5 lives may be, but it was interesting nonetheless. Then we were asked to write down 5 more, and some of the options that came out were things that I don't think I ever admitted to myself wanting to do, or at least hadn't in a very long time, so that was fun. And then I think a part that I really benefited thinking about was reflecting on, out of those 5 lives, what can you do in your current life that can reflect action of that desire to live one of those lives, or all of those lives. For example, I had previously been in research of whale conservation, and I then wrote down that in one of my lives I would be a whale researcher. And so what am I currently doing to incorporate that into my life? So I volunteered at whale sanctuaries and applied to more conservation societies to volunteer at in the future, and so on in all of my lives. This is something that I think I naturally leaned into, but didn't recognize in myself that I was, even though I wasn't necessarily pursuing that dream, I still participated in a portion, even if it was tiny, in my life that reflected that dream. On the flip side, it makes me realize that I could definitely be living fuller, and that's the overarching theme of my life at the moment: how to best embody the highest version of myself, a version of myself that I'm proud of, a version of myself that feels I'm making active progress holistically, right? I think it's time to review my notes from the book. Earlier in week 2, I was struggling with showing up to the page. And then I got to the part of the book of rules of the road, and the first rule is to show up and use it for pain, for dreaming, for trying. And trying I am. I think that's the most important part. I'm trying, I'm giving it my 100%, and everything else I give up and I surrender to the universe. There's a quote here from Henry Miller that says, "Develop interest in life as you see it, in people, things, literature, music. The world is so rich, simply throbbing with rich treasures, beautiful souls, and interesting people. Forget yourself." I love this. I think that is so indicative of what I'm pursuing right now. I'm trying to learn more about jazz music, about history, about politics, about art. I'm learning a language. I'm trying to move countries, and I'm trying to be interested in people. I love talking to strangers. This is a side note, but it's so great to just have a pleasant conversation with a stranger. In a world where community often feels sparse to the average person, where isolation is a common factor of daily life, talking to strangers is really, really fun and lights up my day. So just being interested in people, interested in life, and this navel gazing that I'm doing more intensely than ever. As a Pisces, I mean, it seems to be a fact of life, but it's no longer just staring at pain. I think it's staring at hope, staring at contributing to a world outside of myself and reflecting on how I can do better in that. And I think that's a positive way of my reflective nature. Another wonderful aspect of week 2 reading was the capacity for delight and appreciating the small things in life, taking time to reflect, and the art of paying attention. I know that this is not a new concept. It's been circulating in the online zeitgeist for a number of years now, but it never fails to bring a smile to my face. In noticing, gratitude naturally comes up. There is no better feeling than being grateful for the current moment. Another topic that was heavy on my mind was boundaries, keeping dreams to myself, which I know is ironic considering if you're watching this video, it means that you're listening to my inner thoughts about becoming an artist. Keeping dreams to myself as I pursue them so that the dream stays alive in me and there's no potential for anyone else to discourage or be any less enthusiastic than I am. And it's inevitable that anyone else outside of me would be less enthusiastic than I am about my own dreams because it's not their own dreams, it's not them living it. So I think it's really important for me at this time to stay quiet about what I'm working on, stay focused, and tune out the rest of the world, because delusion and hope are all I have right now, and I think that's beautiful. I think we see so much happen in life, and to be able to still choose hope after everything we've gone through is the basis of change, is the basis of hope becoming reality. I don't know what else to say this week, so I guess I'll leave it at that. Hope leads to change, and change, as Octavia Butler put it, is God. So here's to Octavia Butler, the artist's way, and hope. I'll see you next week.